get in order. What's the first spot here?
Negative 3.
-3. Middle? -9. Last? -3. So if you didn't get those, that's okay. Let's talk about the math one more time. It's just a pattern. So I go down to the bottom. I start at column 1. So -3 times 1 plus 0 times 4, which is -3. So -3 times 1 plus 0 times 4. Then I shift to the second column. -3 times 3 plus 0 times 6, which is -9. So this times this plus this times this. And the last, we have -3 times 1 plus 0 times 5, which is -3. It's just a pattern. Okay. Can I clarify anything before we move on to the calculator? Multiplication is weird. It's a lot of addition. But the way you want to do this is you want to check to make sure the dimensions work first, because they can be time consuming. Okay, you ready to try it in our calculator? It's a lot easier in the calculator. You can do basically any matrix C problem in your calculator unless you're solving for a variable. Then you don't want to use your calculator. You want to do it by hand. So if your phone doesn't have the TI-84 app, use one of the ones in the orange bucket. So we're going to do this example down here. Okay. So the very first thing that you want to do is on your calculator, there is a matrix button. It's right above the x to the -1. So what you want to do is hit second x to the -1, and it will pull up the matrix C pack. Okay. So here, I'm going to hit second, and let me move that up for us. There we go. So you hit second x to the -1. Now, your matrices are probably preloaded because my other classes have used them, but that's okay. You can edit them, which is what we're going to do next. So to edit, you just arrow over to edit. And then you decide what you want to edit. So I'm going to just make this first matrix A. So that is matrix A. So when I'm editing, I'm going to be focusing on A. There's a bunch of numbers or letters here. So I'm going to press enter. Then I'll type in the dimensions. So this is a 2 by 2. So let's say it said, I don't know what yours says. It could say 3 by 3. So when I come over here to edit, I've got 3 by 3. I want it to be a 2 by 2. The matrix C that is in your calculator should look like the matrix C on your paper. If the matrix C is a 2 by 2 and you're typing in the dimensions and you type them in wrong, it's going to be pretty obvious that it's wrong. Then I just arrow over to my first section and I just mimic the pattern. So my first number is 3 and I'm going to press enter. Then it shifts to the right, press enter, and it shifts to the bottom again. Enter, enter. So the pattern of the typing, it starts in the upper left, shifts to the right, and then it goes all the way back to the bottom left and shifts right. Okay? And you can just press enter. Then you're going to press second matrix again, and it's going to pull it up. I need to edit the second matrix. So I'm going to arrow over to edit. But now I don't want to edit A because I just did A. So I'm going to name the second matrix B. So I've named my second matrix B. So I'm going to edit matrix CB. You can use any of the letters that you want. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to put dimensions. This is a 2 by 2, so I'm good. Just going to arrow over. Start at 5, enter, -2, 0, 4. Make sure at the end that you hit enter on the very last one because it won't change it until you hit enter. So if you cancel out of it and don't actually hit enter on the last one, you're going to have the wrong number in your matrix. That's okay, Carla. Is there anything you need me to go back to? We're practicing typing it into the calculator. Okay. All right, so here I press quit. I'm getting out of it. Now I want it to multiply for me. So I'm going to just go back into the matrix and press enter. It should say A. So if you have more than 2 matrices, make sure you're labeling them. It's going to be easier. And then I want to multiply. So I can press multiplication if I want to, or if I put them side by side, my calculator will tell me that I don't need to do that. So I'm going to arrow down to 2 and press enter, and your matrice is loaded onto your calculator. So that is what you get when you multiply. If we were to do this by hand, we would get that same answer. Okay. Now, if you don't have the plus calculator, you'll have like an extra little parenthesis or something. That's okay. It's just the way that the older calculators show it. So you don't have to put the multiplication sign. You can just put them side by side and you still get the same answer. Okay. So the steps, again, to get to the matrix, you're going to press the second x to the negative 1, which says matrix on top. Then you want to edit the matrices. So make sure you're editing. Make sure that the dimensions are what you want. We'll write our answer here. 15, 10, negative 2, negative. Now, the more numbers you have, it might take longer to type it in your calculator. So it really just depends on what you're comfortable with. If you want to do every single matrix in your calculator, you can, but adding and subtracting isn't that difficult. You can also do scalar multiplication. So I'm just going to stick with the same A and B. You can do 3 times matrix A, and it will do scalar multiplication. That's how you want to write it. You could also add. So I could do 3 times matrix A plus matrix B. And it would do it for you. You type it how you see it. Make sure that if the dimensions aren't the same, that you're not trying to waste your time adding or subtracting. But the calculator is a great tool. It will do everything for you, but it can take some time to go back in and edit and type and edit and type. So just use it as you need it. Because it's a really good tool. Okay. Do we need to go over anything about calculators again? Just make sure when you're pressing that final number in your matrix that you hit enter and not quit, because it won't register.